Welcome to Above Average Agents, where we talk about all different things going on in the market, how to be better than the average agent in your market, and everything else in between. So, I am Tiana. We are all three in Southeast Florida market. I am joined by Katie Lucy and Megan Romanelli. Hey, ladies.
Hi.
All right, let's talk about this crappy, slow market. What are you guys feeling?
Great subject. Trying to stay optimistic, right? It's really, really tough, but it's an exciting time to gain market share. We're definitely going to lose agents. I mean, the amount of transactions this year is way down. It's predicted to be even less than last year. So I think, this is a great time to get together and pull our resources and talk about how to be better because, when you can shine in markets like this, it just catapults you into being excellent in good markets. So it's been really tough, but we're going to get through it and it's going to be great. Katie, why don't you tell us about some of your wins?
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with everything you're saying. Like the slow time is when you can catch up, beat people, and the one that's most visible right now with the skills is going to be the one that wins.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's a slow market up here too. It's days on market are ticking up aggressively, and list to sales price ratios are declining, and it's just slow. Buyers are slow, sellers are very slow to accept price drops. But I mean, yesterday I had a very good day. I got an offer on one of my listings. It's only been on the market for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. One of my buyers identified a property. We put an offer in. We're still in negotiations, but we verbally have all come to terms. I put another offer in for one of my buyers, and this is an example of the problem. So I am a very transparent and nice collaborative agent. So I sent an offer to this agent, I don't know, maybe a month ago on his property. It's listed fair. It's a little above market value. And we came in about 10% under list. And in the condo market in Jupiter, the list to sales price is the ratio is probably like 90%, 92%. So it's pretty in line with what I offered yesterday before we offered probably like 20 grand under. But yesterday we offered a good number and he still didn't even respond or acknowledge me. And I wrote and I said, listen, I would love an acknowledgement. I get that you want your number and I'm happy, I get that you're fighting for your clients, but in this market, the number aligns with the list to sales price ratio. It's a declining list to sales price ratio. It's increasing inventory, increasing days on market. And it's a vacant property where I know the guy's already found his other home. So I don't know what the burn rate is, but it's not free. So it's just crazy to me that there are people that are not aware of the market stats in their market to know and advise their sellers that price drops sometimes are needed. We started too high because you can't base it off the comps of peak season in March when we're entering the slowdown of summer and interest rates are still where they are, the economy is where they are, and the inventory is growing, days on market are growing, and all these other indicators. So just because Jupiter's market, like our average price point and our median price point are flat, that's all we're talking about. That shouldn't be all we're talking about because the market is softening, it is declining. There's a lot of reasons why we should be adjusting and pivoting on what we're advising our sellers on, at least serious sellers that are trying to get their property unloaded right now. So
I hate to be a Karen, but I have to ask, that agent did not acknowledge your
Yep.
offer?
Correct.
Not a
So,
received, no thank you, nothing?
And I, of course,
That
wrote a
is
professional
a
email.
DVPR offense, and
Sure.
you should get a broker involved because that is not acceptable. You have 24 hours to present that offer to the seller, and the seller makes the decision. They could lose their license. That's a huge offense, and I think you should tell a broker, and you should copy your broker and send it again and call his office and say he's not responding, and hopefully he's in the hospital. Hopefully it's some issue, but if he's choosing to ignore you, that he should lose his license.
So thank you. I know they have to present it to them. I didn't know he had to respond to me, so that's good information. And I gave him a little bit of
presented.
Yeah, I gave him a little bit of authoritative pushback on why he didn't respond to me, and he texted me a screenshot of them emailing him that they don't want to even acknowledge an offer that's so pathetic and blah blah blah. And look, I will say we did come in under. They were trying to bargain, but all sides are that like demographic where they're like, let's get the number and negotiate down, and all the annoying, like it's not efficient. But anyways, so we did come in low. So I get that they were like, we're not even countering. Fine. But this offer that we sent yesterday, $50, it's within 10 grand of what he's going to end up getting. So he's wrong. And I'm like, I don't know. I explained that to him. I said, listen, this is aligned with all the market statistics and the way that it's working. And I even like was like kind of rude, like, hey, you know, like in a professional way, I wrote like, even though you chose not to acknowledge me last time because you thought that my offer wasn't good, my clients are serious buyers, they're excellent buyers, they're qualified buyers, and they're interested in buying your property so that they get money in your seller's pocket. Like, this is a fair offer, it's aligned, and I wrote all those things, and he still hasn't acknowledged that. So it's very annoying. But that's why hiring somebody that's good matters so much. Yesterday we did 9 tours. It was supposed to be 10, but one agent never got back. And then we sat at 2 houses. They were both vacant, but still 2 houses for 10 minutes waiting for the listing agent to give me lockbox instructions because they told me it was super and it was on a regular lockbox. So we couldn't even get into the property. And this is in Westlake where there's so much inventory. Yeah. So it's like, you would think if you have a listing in that area, you're going to do everything you can. Like the other agents that would meet us there, they'd show us the property, they'd enthusiastically sell the home. That's what you need to hire. So people need to ask their real estate agents way more. And if you're an agent, you need to be doing more because it is obvious. Things are not moving and there's a reason for it. And sometimes it's because the agent.
Yeah. So. I'll never forget. I learned a lesson a year ago on a listing when the market was starting to turn. And I would say it was probably within 10% of our list price, but I take full accountability and I presented this offer to myself. We got it first weekend on the market, like great offer, but it was 10% below list. And we're coming up, I'm like, oh, we got this offer and like, it's cash, but like this price, like, what are they doing? And so my client fed off my energy and was like, oh yeah, we'll do better. Like, absolutely. There was 30 people at the open house. Well, obviously, you guys remember last year, that wasn't always the case. So we declined that offer. Then, of course, a month later, we're like, sorry, we missed you. And then we ended up selling for another 10% below that offer. And so it's all about how you present it. And like, it's up to the seller to take. And you have to be so level-headed and be like, hey, we have an offer. Please review the terms and get back to me. Like, you can't say it's great if it's shit. And you can't say it's shit if it's shit. But like, they might be interested. So sorry, do we cuss on here?
Yeah.
It's really good to just present the facts and take the emotion out of it, is my team leader's favorite term, because in a changing market and with sellers' different circumstances, like you don't know what they'll take. And an offer you're like, seems low, they might be happy about. Yeah. So it's really important to present all offers and leave it open for the seller to decide.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I keep like going back and telling all my sellers we are in this market where, one, it's a buyer's market and they don't want to hear it. And I also tell them this thing I've been preaching forever of like, it's in buyers' minds, it's 2008, and sellers' minds, it's 2021, 2022, and it's just not that market. Even if you're 10K overpriced, some buyers don't even want to see it. They're like, if the whole neighborhood is selling at this, but you're listed higher than that, why am I even going to bother?
100%. And it's a demographic thing too. Like younger buyers are not going to go in and do 85% list value, even if it's overpriced by 12%. Like, I'm like, you guys are talking the same number. If they would come down and you would go up, like it's the same number, but they won't do it because I don't know.
It's the ego. A lot of times people's ego is wrapped up into what their house sells for. And everybody wants that, like, oh, my house sold for the most in the whole neighborhood. And it's just like, sometimes it's not that. And especially when they've spent a lot of money or they've done a lot of things to the house, but those things weren't the right things. Those things weren't things that buyers care about. And
calling it upgrades when it's maintenance. I see a lot of that. People say, oh, I put a roof on, I replaced the AC, I've invested all this money. you needed that AC or you would be miserable sleeping. That's not an
That's a
upgrade. That's
good
standard
point.
maintenance. That's homeownership.
Yeah.
And same with roofs. Roofs are so big in South Florida, they're pricey, but you changed your roof because you wanted cheaper insurance. Your roof was 25 years old. Like, that is a great thing that you did for yourself to make your life better. Like, that's not necessarily an asset at this point. Like, that's a maintenance item.
Yeah.
So that's a tough conversation I've been
Or it
having a
just
lot.
makes that house compared to the neighbor's old roof like more desirable. I could see that.
Right.
Like somebody may
Yeah.
choose that
Yeah.
over, but they're not going to pay
Yeah.
50 grand more. They're not going to pay for the roof.
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, Katie, are you seeing the same in your market?
So not really.
No.
I actually see, like, if it's a new roof within like 18 months roof.
Yeah.
Like those houses that have better roofs are going so much quicker than houses that have old roofs. Old roofs are
It's
a big
more
problem.
desirable, but not necessarily more
Right.
expensive.
Right. Like, I don't think it's a dollar for dollar increase in value.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
but so it expands the buyer pool so much that they end up getting more eyeballs and getting more money, in my opinion.
Maybe roofs.
That's what it does. It expands the buyer pool. Because
Sure.
if your budget's 800,000, but you're basing it off of $400 a month HOA and regular insurance, you can't buy a house that has a $12,000 insurance premium. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You're right.
it has to have a decent roof and decent hurricane protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think roof was a bad
No,
example.
I don't think it was a bad example.
No, it wasn't.
Because there are plenty of,
And honestly,
washer.
there are plenty of
and I
houses
never
that
considered it like
sit.
that. And it's really
There are plenty of
yeah.
houses that sit that have brand new roofs.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I like the way you presented that, because I don't know, maybe I did kind of consider it like an upgrade, you know what I mean? But it is. If they didn't get a new air conditioning, they'd have no air conditioning, and their house would get mold and they'd be miserable and everybody would hate life in Florida. So It's like, that's maintenance. And yeah, I like it.
And I also think that because there's so much more competition, I don't know if you guys are doing this with your sellers or not, but like one of the things that I do is like I remind them, your competition is not just your neighborhood, your neighbors. Your competition is every other house in this city like yours. So if it's a 3-bedroom condo or a 3-bedroom townhouse or a 3-bedroom single family, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at all of it. And what are all of those selling for? Regardless of the neighborhood. Yes, that impacts it a little bit, but what's actually selling and under contract versus yours?
Yeah.
That's an excellent point.
It really is. Because when I run comps for pricing, I will use what I think an appraiser is going to use.
Mm-hmm.
But like the house I got under contract yesterday, we're like in a no HOA, central Palm Beach Gardens, like close to everything. And I know the one that they were between was in the estates, which is like acre, like it's kind of like, and it's totally different. An appraiser would never use an estates property to comp my listing. But the buyers that are going to spend their money did. So that's a good point.
Yeah. And I look at the price range, right? I'll say, like, if it's a, I don't know, $450,000 property, I'll look at 400 to 500 and like a similar in that city. What else is available and what else is under contract, and what are those prices that are under contract? And so that helps them see what's actually happening versus just the actives where it's like, well, look, everybody's priced at, I don't know, 475 or 500. And it's like, well, they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
So it's a hard pill to swallow. I totally get it. Like 2 years ago, they could have, sellers could have got X and now they're getting Y. And it's like, why me kind of a thing? Like, why is it my property selling what my neighbor sold for? And I also think it's a lot of like first time sellers just not understanding how it works too.
Right. I get a lot of, I want this, I have to get this number. And if real estate worked that way, we would be on a yacht somewhere, like it is just not that perfect. You don't get what you want. Unfortunately, it's tough, especially if you bought in the last 2 to 3 years in South Florida. Kind of a warning to you. You're not going to make much on the sale of your home.
Right. And I also think people are over improving. Even if they bought, say, in like 2013, they're over improving and expecting to get the dollar for dollar. Like, oh, I did, this new kitchen and I spent, $40,000 on this new countertop. Well, who the hell told you to spend $40,000 on a counter in a $700,000 neighborhood like that? They just, you're not in a $7 million neighborhood where
Right.
that's
I was in a $2 million house the other day that spent $9,000 on the hardware in the kitchen.
like that's insane.
Pulls. I was like, that is
That's
dumb.
like
I was
all
like, it's a $2 million
new
house.
appliances.
Right. And anyways, and I was like, it was like the brand, and like I don't know. You can't over improve and expect to get that money back. No, it was like the pulls and stuff. I don't remember what it was, but you can't expect those kinds of over improvements. Those are for you to live there, and then the fact that you buy high quality things translates probably through your house, so that's great. But like, you can't expect, oh, I put in this kind of this and this and this and this, and I get it back. You don't, unless it's a very specific neighborhood.
Right.
I think to spin this on a positive note, buyers, get out there.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be a buyer. There's not a lot of you. Rates aren't great, right? We all know that, but there's so many cool programs to get your rate down. And that stupid term, date the rate, marry the house. Like, it's kind of true. If you get in now at a 6.5% and it's tight, imagine how cool it'll feel when you're used to that. And in 2-3 years, you can refinance and your mortgage is like half. That's amazing. So I think it's a good time to be a buyer. We're seeing, sellers taking low offers. While we're complaining some won't, I think there are plenty of people that need to sell and that bought 20 years ago and have tons of equity. And this is a great time to sell. We're talking about the people that bought in the last 5 years. It's tricky. They paid at the peak. But if you bought your home 20 years, you're rocking and rolling.
5 years are rocking and rolling.
True.
So
not even.
I will say though, I heard something yesterday that I was like a little worried about. So one of my buyers said that they found something on PennyMac or an online thing. I don't know which one it was. And it was like promoting like a free buy down. And then I was like, well, I don't think that they're allowed to do it. They have to get the seller, I think, to do it for that to be legal. So I've always thought like these online portals spew bullshit to try to attract buyers, like clickbait, because they don't know your credit. They don't know whatever your situation is. I'm not saying, do your exploratory homework, but just be careful when you are hearing about an offer that sounds too good to be true, because it might be.
Absolutely. I think the trusted lender and the seller, like you said, can pay for this buy down. And there's a certain percentage to how much they can give you. And you have to go with someone reputable who knows what they're doing in order to do that. And sometimes it's not perfect for you. Maybe you'd rather have $20,000 off the purchase price. There's definitely different strategies. But if you're a first-time home buyer, I think that's a great one, because probably cash to close is going to be the toughest thing to come up with. So getting $20,000 to close on your first $500,000 house is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely a buyer's market. I saw an article from, I think, Realtor.com that there's 500,000 more sellers than there are buyers nationwide. And that just goes to show what kind of market we're in. And so, if you're serious about selling the house, then we have to be strategic in how we sell it. So it's but for buyers, definitely getting deals, things like that. I even put in an offer for my own self and I went lower than asking price, and it was a brand new property on the market. So I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
You didn't get it?
I got backup. So.
But I will say this is very, very geographically sensitive too. So like the Northeast, like those, like I have a client that's selling their house in Ohio. They expect it to sell in a day. My California people that are coming over here have 5 offers in one day. So like the Sun Belt states is what like starts the trends, right? Like, so like we kind of are starting it. So it's very competitive everywhere else, but here it's not. The market is slow. But I will say, if the house is priced right and move-in ready, that is competitive every time. Like every time. Like it is really, if it's priced right, so which it gives you even more of an attractive thing to price your house right, because then oh shit, I might get 3 offers or whatever, which doesn't sound very 2025 in South Florida, but it still happens. I'm trying to get one right now, and it's because they price it just under market value, and it's really pretty, totally move-in ready, nothing, you don't have to do anything, and she's probably gonna get multiple offers.
Yeah. Sure, the sellers will be happy. So All right, ladies. Well, I think that we hit all of the main points when it comes to sellers and buyers in this market. And I learned a lot today. So if you have any questions, reach out to any of us and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Comment below about your market.
I love
We need engagement. Guys, I gotta get